the absence of disease and infirmity. So it's a very wide definition. Now, the other problems arise from the fact that therapy enhancements can be overlapping, the means and the tools employed are the same, and also that the standards we use to measure the difference between therapy and enhancement are difficult to determine, also because they change over time. I would like to give an example of enhancement. Okay, suppose we have children, they're short, and they have a deficit of the production of the GH, the growth hormone, and we give them recombinant human growth hormone, then we'll have these children to be taller. But if suppose we have children who are short, not because of a deficit, but because of genetics and the family, and we want to make them taller, in this case, we will probably make some kind of enhancement. But is that really correct? If we look at the WHO definition, maybe this is not an enhancement. Maybe it's therapy, because the definition is such a wide definition that these children with short stature probably will fit into the definition of therapy. Another form of enhancement is the one that's used by athletes, especially in endurance sports like cyclism. And EPO, that's the erythropoietin, is produced by the kidneys, and it promotes red blood cell production and is indicated in the therapy of anemias. But athletes may actually use it to increase oxygen into their muscles. Now, this is probably a form of enhancement. We would probably call it straightforward enhancement. The definition of neural enhancement taken by Wayne Hall is the following: the use of drugs or other interventions to modify brain processes with the aim to enhance memory, mood, and attention in people who are not impaired by illness or disorder. It's a very straightforward definition. Now, what's neuroenhancement today? Well, there are different forms that we could use: nutrition, physical exercise, adult neurogenesis. The famous nootropics, this term comes from the Greek words nous, I will pronounce it nous and nous, which means mind, and trope, meaning to bend, to turn, or what we call neuroenhancers. There are online techniques and research institutes that are working on this. Very busy slide, but this is taken from a discussion paper from the British Medical Association, is the Ethics Division, and was published in the year 2008, Boosting Your Brain Power, Ethical Aspects of Cognitive Enhancement. Basically, it says that good nutrition is very important, to the point that women, pregnant women who are given some fatty acids, omega-3 is a long-chain polyunsaturated fatty acid, may have children who are more intelligent. There are some studies pointing to that. So there is a link between maternal seafood intake and IQ of their children. In Alzheimer's disease patients, it's not been proven yet if this nutrition could be helpful for them. Physical exercise is also very important because it increases the blood flow to the brain, and so it increases mood and attention. And the Latins were very smart, obviously. The Romans were very smart. They used to say mensa sana in corpore sano, which means healthy minds in healthy bodies. So physical exercise is important also because it makes nerve cells more flexible and apt for new synapses. And physical exercise in old age seems to reduce the risk of senile dementia. Also, and this is an article published in Nature a couple of years ago, and it's some studies on mice at hippocampus, and they found that there is a neurogenesis in the adult animal, and it's not only to replace old nerve cells, but also to make them more flexible. In fact, animals with new life experiences, they have this adult neurogenesis. Okay, coffee. Coffee is my favorite topic, maybe because I'm Italian, but it's interesting to find that coffee came from Africa, first of all, and it's a brewed beverage prepared from roasted seeds of the coffee plant. 3 countries, Ethiopia, Sudan, and Kenya, 9th century before Christ. And it's very important, I think, to know that coffee was served during religious ceremonies. So it has a special meaning to it. And coffee, as you know, contains substances like caffeine, but also tea and chocolate, and they're stimulants of the CNS. They have excitatory actions, increase alertness, attention, but also can cause insomnia. In fact, I don't drink coffee after 4 p.m. and may actually increase the memory. I mentioned coffee because when you read articles about neural enhancement, you find that they usually use coffee to compare the pharmaceuticals, the effects of the pharmaceuticals. But I don't think that coffee and neural enhancement are the same thing. Well, some of the pharmaceuticals are used off-label, okay, to be cognitive enhancer, memory enhancer. One of them is Ritalin. Ritalin is methylphenidate. It's derived from the amphetamines and a CNS stimulant. It's used mainly ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, narcolepsy, which is a situation where people fall asleep all of a sudden, so they have to be treated. Also lethargy, depression, and obesity. Mechanism of action, most of these pharmaceuticals, they act on the neurotransmitters, and in this case, there is an inhibition of the brain dopamine and noradrenaline reuptake, so more of these neurotransmitters will be available. Ritalin has been patented by CIBA in 1954 and used as an antidepressant. It is used now in ADHD, and I have to say, and this is worrisome for at least for the Europeans, that there has been an increased use of Ritalin since the 90s. 10 to 12% of children between the age of 6 and 12 are treated with Ritalin for ADHD. It's a large number that in Europe is really not the same. So it's a little bit concerning. There are mild adverse effects. There are severe adverse effects, decreased height. Also, there can be a problem with the dopaminergic system, a decrease in cognitive functions, addiction, and increased substance abuse in young people. And long-term effects, unfortunately, we don't know because we don't have properly designed studies. This slide is interesting, I think. It's studies on rats, and they have actually these two researchers from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, Devilbis and Merritt. They studied rats receiving increased doses of Ritalin, and they used microelectrodes. Of course, we cannot use those in humans. And they actually looked at neurons in the prefrontal cortex, or PFC, and because other areas apparently are not affected. And what it seems like that a low dose of Ritalin does not modify spontaneous neural activity, but increases signal receptivity from the hippocampus. At high doses, the prefrontal cortex neurons stop processing the incoming signals. So basically, conclusions, the therapeutic effect of Ritalin could be due to a fine-tuning of the PFC response to incoming stimuli, responsible for improved cognition, attention, and working memory. So the target of Ritalin is the PFC, at least in rats, and if it's proven also in humans, it would mean that Ritalin doesn't affect the addiction areas of the brain, so it could theoretically be safe. Ritalin used for cognitive enhancement, especially memory, attention, better mood, but there is a possible rebound. In the Italian legislation, by the way, Ritalin has been approved in Italy only 2 years ago, and doses above 180 milligrams are illegal. In this country, Ritalin is Schedule II substance. It is more regulated in Europe than in this country, where it's consumed 5 times as much as Ritalin as in other country, combined, in the rest of the world combined. And now Ritalin and the youngs. Ritalin can be purchased on the internet or illegally. The pills can be crushed and snorted or injected, similarly to cocaine. There is increased use in United States students before, during, and after the exams. And I reviewed an article, and it's interesting to see that students who have a lot of stress, probably because they have to perform a lot, especially Harvard students, they use more Ritalin than other students from other universities. So that lot has to do with the pressure that students have.
Those of us from Yale. Or Chicago, I can say.
I'll go very quickly. These two slides is modafinil provigil, I don't know how you pronounce it, but again, it's another stimulant. It's not similar to amphetamines. Also acts on